5,300 tons of carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. And in the space of this dialogue, so over the next 2 hours, that's enough emissions. 5,300 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent are enough emissions to power a small city for a year. Just imagine, powering a small city for a year. Today, we gather to change that trajectory. In this dialogue, we have 3 countries, one shared challenge, and countless opportunities. Germany's regulatory expertise, Azerbaijan's energy leadership, and Pakistan's industrial scale represent a unique combination that could reshape cement production across our region and beyond. It is a pleasure and an honor for the Pak-German Climate and Energy Partnership, German Development Cooperation in Pakistan, to welcome Mr. Syed Noman Hassan, who is representing the All Pakistan Cement Manufacturers Association here today. We have with us Mr. Martin Schneider, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of German Cement Manufacturers. And we have with us Mr. Henrik Zasser, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Norm Cement in Azerbaijan. We also have a fabulous lineup of speakers to share with us perspectives from Pakistan. We have with us Mr. Ahmed Naveed, who is DG Power and Energy at the National Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority. We have Dr. Arif Bashir, who is Director Technical Operations at DG Cement. We have Mr. Ehsan Anis with us, who is the CEO of Power Cement Limited. And we have Dr. Nabil Amin, the Head of Compliance, Ministry of Commerce. Without further ado, I would now like to invite Syed Noman Hassan, who is Executive Director, Lucky Cement, to please deliver his welcome remarks. Over to you, Mr. Hassan. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. As introduced, my name is Noman Hassan. Right now I'm representing All Pakistan Cement Manufacturers Association, but I am an employee of Lucky Cement. I'll head the business operations here, look after the plants as well as the business side. My company has the chairmanship for All Pakistan Cement Manufacturing Association, and hence I'll be talking about the cement industry using that platform. First of all, I'd like to start by thanking SDPI and PGCEEP for creating this opportunity, for getting us all together to talk about this very, very important issue. And especially to bring in experts from around the world where they, to help us, the local cement industry in Pakistan, understand what can be done to reduce the carbon footprint that the cement industry is putting out there. I think on behalf of All Pakistan Cement Manufacturers Association and on behalf of all our members, some of them would also be contributing into the discussion later on. I think I'd like to start by saying that we are all very committed. The commitment is there. We are, as it is, the cement industry is a very good corporate citizen of this country, whether it comes to contribution to the national exchequer in terms of taxation, whether it comes to being a good CSR driver for our local communities, as well as for bringing in good corporate practices into the country. We have always been at the forefront. So definitely when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to environment, when it comes to carbon footprint, we're definitely there. And the commitment, and I'm very open to say on behalf of my industry that we are very well committed to welcome initiatives and to understand the global perspective on these issues, especially from the esteemed speakers that we have today in this session. So I'm quite excited and looking forward to that discussion. If I talk specifically and introduce to you the cement industry and how and where we are in terms of improving ourselves, I can say that there are three areas which help us if we focus on these three, and this is how we can move forward towards greener cement. First and foremost is the process, where the capex come in, the hardware, the mechanical side of the business, which is again an area which is very capital intensive. And I'm very happy to say that in the past 4-5 years, most of the big cement manufacturers or big cement players of Pakistan have actually invested into the latest technology, the latest kind of the good practice, the capex that is built on good practice out there, which helps us improve our carbon footprint. Obviously, as technology evolves, as practices come out, we have newer plants which are more energy efficient, which are more which contribute less emissions to the environment. So most of our industry, and I would say 80-90% of the cement that's produced in Pakistan, we've done that. So we've taken the first step, and we've put in a lot of capacity and capability out there, which is on improved business practices. So that step most of us have already taken, and we can get into the details of that at any point. From the process or from the capex or from the capability, the next thing which we can focus on, or which we should focus on, and which we do focus on, is the raw material, is what we use to actually manufacture cement. And that's an area where, again, a lot of work has been done. There's a lot of buzz within the cement industry about green cement, about replacing the cement with more natural and more derived environment. For example, in place of clinker, which is one of the key ingredient in the production of cement, people are using in place of clinker, they are replicating it with pozzolana, with fly ash, with volcano ash, with a lot of other less carbon intensive raw materials, which augment the final product. So that work a lot of us are already doing, but I'll be very interested in looking at the panel today to advise us and guide us more in that direction. The third part or the third element is the sources of energy that we use, because again, like any heavy mechanical complex, a cement industry uses a lot of power. It's an energy intensive industry. So, where is that power coming from? I think when my company was set up about 25 years ago, our main source of power was furnace oil. And from there, we have evolved, and we initially went into gas, which is considered a better replacement of furnace oil from the environmental point of view, because it's more efficient. And now we progressed from there. We took the steam from the system, and we use that to generate electricity. And as we speak, if I talk specifically about Lucky Cement, we've moved big on the renewable sources of energy. I mean, we have put up wind farms next to our factory. We've put up huge solar farms next to our factory. So if I talk specifically about Lucky Cement, we have graduated to about 60-70% of our energy is now renewable. Those are the steps, and most of the cement industry is moving in that direction. Gradually. So these are the three areas where I think if one looks holistically at the cement industry, where we can move and get help from the group here. And there may be more things which I have not mentioned, which I could learn from people here. But broadly, the process, the raw material, and the sources of energy are the areas where we can improve. I think as far as the role of All Pakistan Cement Manufacturing Association is concerned towards towards driving the industry there. We are definitely there. The industry doesn't need too much motivation for anyone to push them, but we're definitely there in terms of taking our members along, lobbying with the government. Of course, there are a lot of challenges in two different provinces. There are different requirements and different things which are monitored. I see Dr. Arif here. DG Khan again has cement in three plants in two different provinces. So there are again different requirements. One of his plant is into a negative area where he has to do a lot of regulatory requirement there. The other one may be in another province where it might not be the same. So there are disparities within the country in terms of how we are monitored and how we are regulated, which is again a challenge which comes up from there. And I think although there is a lot of material out there and there is a lot of things out there, but obviously transfer of knowledge and transfer of information is definitely the expert to guide us into taking the right steps. To you, so we have to take it from there, and then at the due course, if there are any questions, for me or on behalf of the cement industry, I'd be glad to take them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. It is indeed impressive, the accomplishments that you've already listed, but particularly that related to renewable energy and your efforts to reduce your carbon footprint. This was a perfect scene setter for us, and we're going to be digging a little deeper into some of the topics that you've mentioned today. The Global Cement and Concrete Association recently launched a global low carbon grading system for cement and concrete. This is a measurement system for identifying and comparing the carbon footprint of cement as well as concrete products. And we're obviously proud to say that the core model and database behind the system was certified by Green Delta GmbH from Germany. And very recently in Germany, carbon dioxide label for cement has been introduced by the Union of German Cement Industry. And this has been made possible by support from the German Federal Ministry of Business and Energy Affairs. To share with you more details about the work that is being done in Germany, I would now like to give the floor to Mr. Martin Schneider, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the German Union of Cement Industries. And it is indeed a pleasure that he could join us. With that, Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sylvia, for the kind introduction, ladies and gentlemen. It's my real pleasure to see you here. And I have to say that, cement, as we all know, is a good binder. It binds together sand and gravel, but it also binds together people. So, I mean, the topics that we have today are topics that you have in your country. These are topics that we have in our country. These are topics all over the world. However, with nuances to be implemented, of course, on a regional level. And I think this is what this initiative is meant for, to share experiences and try to understand each other and to learn from other experiences around the world. And this is how I see my part today here in this meeting. I'm the Chief Executive of the VDZ, the German Cement Workers Association. Some cement producers may know the VDZ. We have 200 people here in Düsseldorf. We work around the whole value chain of cement and concrete. And together with EQUA, the European Cement Research Academy, we have been involved in many, many decarbonization projects and in decarbonization roadmaps specifically. So if you allow me to share my screen, and you should be able to see it now. Is that correct? Okay, very good. So the topic you have given to me, Sylvia, was the Cement of the Future low carbon rating schemes and label. I would like to start with one slide on the many approaches around the world in which the industry has looked at what are the decarbonization levers in order to drive down the CO2 emissions to finally net zeros. With all the measures that you are working on today, the measures that you're working on tomorrow. And Mr. Hasan, you have correctly then outlined what are the topics that we have on our agenda today. And you have also underlined that it's, of course, investment needed for this. So these are examples, and let me just underline that, of course, each implementation is very, very site-specific, country-specific, or region-specific. It has to do with the raw materials, as you have correctly said, Mr. Hasan, the availability of energy, whether it's renewable or non-renewable. All these things have to be localized. But one thing is in common, that there are a couple of levers which are very similar. The alternative fuels, for example, let's see, the clinker factor, and at the end, also the so-called breakthrough technologies. Now, I'm not going to talk about this. My point is, when we apply these levers, of course, the question is, what will the customers see from us? How can they feel what they buy? And in particular, the governments, when they have procurement going on, how can they call greener cements or cements which are greener than the others? What is the rating scheme? And this is what we have developed in Germany. And I would like to draw the attention to the pathways and this is the example of Azerbaijan, because Mr. Henning Sasse, with whom we developed this for his country, these are the levers that you can apply, in these different roadmaps. And you can see here the business as usual, if you were not doing anything, and then all the levers going down here. And as further down you go, of course, the more investment you have, the more OPEX you have, and that means the more it is important that you have procurement looking after greener cements, and having a level playing field in this respect. So not undermining greener cements with the use of OPC that has been produced for centuries the same way. Now, what are the measures to introduce this, and what are the measures to introduce carbon footprint understanding on the market? And Sobia, what you said is there was the initiative in Germany, but this initiative is based on a G7 initiative. At that time, the German government was having the presidency of the G7 here, and I will not go into the details here of the sources of this, but because I feel that the slides may be shared afterwards, so I kept it in here, so I will not go through all the details here. And you will also see here that some of the aspects, of course, are very European specific, and this should not be frighten you, because this is our experience. Your experience in your country will, of course, be different, will be site-specific. But one thing is in common, that at a given time, we need to declare the carbon footprint of our products in order to make it understandable to the market. So what the question is, what are green lead markets for basic materials such as cement? That was the question here. And what is the definition of climate-friendly products? Yeah, what does this mean for cement? And then the G7 drew knowledge from the IEA, the International Energy Agency, and you might have read the document or seen at least the Achieving Net Zero Heavy Industry Sectors in G7 member states. And what they have developed is this kind of famous slide here where there is a band of different carbon classes from A to E, which are low CO2 cements. And then we have what is called NZ as a near zero cement. Yeah. And then, of course, this slide has to be filled. And what it has to be filled is what is the local cement and clinker factor at your site, in your country, in order to have a reference point. And I will show you how we have done this in Germany. This does not mean that you have to apply it the same way in your country if you are interested in this kind of scheme. But, again, it has to be adapted to your needs. But this is our experience. We have a clinker factor average in Germany 0.7. And luckily, if you see this here, if you put these points here on these bands here, you can see luckily it ends up with categories of 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. So these are the banding systems, the grading curves that we have here in our country. And this can be seen on this slide here. We have the so-called climate-friendly cements, which are below 100. And the unit is kilogram CO2 equivalent per ton of cement, final product. And it goes up to 400 to 500. Now, this, of course, is based on our clinker factor. I'm not sure what the clinker factor is in your country, so that the numbers could be different from yours. And I have also to say that the GCCA has a similar banding system, as you correctly pointed out, Sobia. They have even 1 or 2 classes more. I will not go into details while we have only the classes A, B, D in our country. There are still cements which are not covered by these banding systems because they have higher emissions, but many cements are now getting into this band and can be called upon in the respective procurement systems. Now, this is then what the German government of ministry, the government through its Ministry of Economy, at that time it was still called the Ministry for Economy and Climate, but now it's the Ministry of Economy. They were in the lead of the G7 presidency at that time, and they developed this kind of exercise. And apologize for the German title here, because that is, of course, the German approach. It was a German booklet that they developed here. And what they really asked the 2 sectors which were covered by this initiative, the cement industry and the steel sector, to come up with a voluntary CO2 label based on this methodology. And that, as an association, across all cement producers in our country, we have developed this labeling system. This is just to show you that also the steel sector has something similar. So they go the other way around, because here's not the clinker factor, here is the factor of scrap material in new steels. And you can see here that is, of course, aiming at electric arc furnaces, for example, where you can recover scraps, iron and scrap steel in the process. So I'll not go into the detail here, but it's a similar approach. The steel sector has, as the cement industry, a grading system that can be now used in public procurement. So this is for our country. This is here the emission intensity for cement in kilogram CO2 per ton of cement. And you can see here the typical CEM1 is a little bit lower than 700 kilogram per kilogram per ton, and it goes down here at the end. If you were to apply breakthrough technologies in the long-term future, even with CCS, you go down to 75. That means to below 100. That means a near zero cement. Of course, these are only examples here on a generic base, and I have to tell you that the picture looks much different on a company level. And the reason is that in our country, we have a high substitution rate of fossil fuels by alternative ones with high amounts of biomasses. The biomass comes from the waste management. And this gives a completely different picture, of course, on a company level, where you really have with high substitution rate. And I can tell you the substitution rate can be up to 100% in several cases. That, of course, is a big lever. So having said this, again, this is a very, very German specific approach, but the methodology is unique. It could be applied, and it's very similar to the GCCA approach, even on a regional or global level in many other places of the world. It has nothing to do with the approach here in our country. Now, and then you see here that the classes, of course, and in order to take more ownership of this, we have developed it together with our members. And I have to say that we have a coverage of members here. 95% of the cement producers in our country are members of the VDZ. So there was a unique understanding of that we need something to show up with. And we developed this CCC, the cement carbon class, in which, you have near zero, you have A, B, C, D, E, according to these levers here. And that's what we have developed. And we have just, because we started in February with this approach, we have just certified the first cements of members here according to this carbon class. And I will tell you in a minute how the methodology is behind this here. The beauty is that, of course, we have under the cement standard here in our part of the world, we have a certification scheme for the product. So that the cement needs to be certified according to the respective standard. And I'm not sure what the standard is that in Pakistan is used, but you will certainly have a cement standard, and there will be cements to be certified. And in this certification scheme, we included the certification of the carbon footprint to make it easy, not to duplicate work and to have some others. Yeah, that makes, of course, makes sense, because under our product certification scheme, we have a factory production control, and we have plant visits by the third-party inspector. And in Germany, that is the VDZ, being the inspector for the plants. Now, as a side note, even on a legal level, there is going to be more emphasis on CO2 carbon footprints on many products, also on cement. So there is a parallel development in what we call as the CPR, the Construction Product Regulation on a European level. I'm underlining this not to advertise the CPR, but just to saying that there are many approaches towards carbon footprints and to make them more visible, like you have them on many other products, on refrigerators, on cars, on things like this. You have, to a growing extent, you have these carbon footprint labels, and we are going to have it on cement as well. So this is you know, the basic what we have developed here. First of all, I think we apply the EPD, the Environmental Product Declaration, here in many cases in order our customers want this. I'm not sure how you develop in your country the carbon footprint for your products. There are certainly different ways to do this. Here we are taking advantage of the ISO standard, which is also a European standard, dealing with the life cycle of products and include also cement. The question is always whether you report on a net or gross base. For the insiders of you who know this, net means all the emissions from the waste fuels are counted as zero. Gross means only the biogenic part in the fuels, in the alternative fuels, is counted as zero. So there's a slight difference here from country to country, but if you declare it and it applies to all the same way, then of course it's clear. So I think I can go over here. We use the EPDs from the customers and we verify them. You can use an EPD tool here from the GCCA, for example, to calculate your carbon footprint. There's a database behind it, so it's all validated. I think you have in your country your approach to develop the carbon footprint of each of single cement, so you could use a similar thing. It's not the question with which scheme you use. I'm just telling you what we are doing here in our country. So we're using the EPDs, and then we verify the EPD data. And the main things that need to be verified is the cement composition, and there's the clinker factor. The clinker factor needs to be checked, because the clinker factor has one of the highest impact on the carbon footprint. Then, of course, the CO2 intensity of the clinker. What is the CO2 emissions per ton of clinker? And you know this as good as me. If you have these two figures, you basically have the CO2 footprint of your cement. And of course, then the electrical energy requirement is also called upon here, because the scope 2 emissions are also included. And listening to you, Mr. Hadan, a couple of minutes ago, with 60% renewable, I think you would be in a very good position here to underline the impact on the carbon footprint. Now, what we do here now is we have established this climate-friendly cement, and I have to tell you that tomorrow we have a meeting here, a big workshop, I have to say, with the construction industry. But because the construction industry, of course, is the one to understand this scheme. Yeah, what is the benefit for the construction industry? Because they also would, of course, like to green their products. And their products, of course, are buildings or bridges or any type of infrastructures. But they have a difficulty, of course, to express what does it mean to have green concrete or green cement. And therefore, they are very interested to hear from us what we have done, so that they can call, if they procure concrete, what kind of cement they can tender. Yeah, and this is something that is very fruitful, and it's really great to see that they also would like to be part of a bigger solution. So when you then certify your cement according to your carbon footprint, you have these labels, and you can put them on your bags. You can advertise with this, but the most important thing is that you get a certificate. The certificate proves the consistency with the requirements of the rating scheme. Now, I think I can maybe skip this here. It's just, of course, that is not a you pull the switch and then of course everything works. You know, there's a startup phase, there's a learning phase for sure, and the most important thing right now is that the procurement systems in our country need to be adapted. Procurement is still in our country based on price, and I'm 100% sure it's a very similar approach in your country as well. The price is the easiest indicator, and of course, an important indicator, but the sustainability indicators are getting more and more important. And the question is, how do you implement this into your procurement schemes? Now, if you have a cement of a certain grade, for example, certain category, and I have to say the same applies for concrete. We have a similar scheme for concrete. So you are not sticking to cement only, but you can also apply this to concrete. Then you can call in your tendering and your procurement schemes products with a certified and with a known carbon footprint. Having said this, I'm at the end of my presentation. Let me still underline one more time, it's of course our experience. I'm happy to share this even beyond this presentation here, but you of course have to find your own way into this kind of grading system. Thank you so much for listening.
Martin, thank you very much for this very insightful presentation and taking us along on the journey, Germany's journey, VDZ's journey to net zero. Before I move on to our next presenter, Yaver Ikram would like to know what Germany has done in the last 10 years to reduce their carbon footprint. What are the numbers achieved, and is Germany using LC3 technology to reduce carbon dioxide production? Martin, if you could briefly respond to that. Thank you very much.
Sure. With great pleasure. First of all, of course, the use of alternative fuels has been increased steadily in our country. The substitution rate is now 74%. And as I said before, average. And some of the companies work at 100% substitution rate. Second, the reduction of the clinker factor, which is 71% used to be. Last year, there was a drop of 4% points. So we're now at 69% average. And it's basically slag. We have steel companies in our country, so it's slag, it's limestone, and we are working on the calcined clays. There are clay projects coming up in our country that will be the next step. And then, of course, we're entering the LCC projects. So far, we are using the calcined clay or the putzolans only besides clinker, not together with limestone. But these ternary cements like LC3 cements, for example, are coming. And we have now, in the standard, we can go down to 35% clinker with 2 other constituents. So these are the main drivers. And last but not least, we have 4 big announced projects here of carbon capture, the CO2 at the stack, the subsequent storage is the CO2 in the North Sea. This, of course, is something which is, breakthrough technology, but under the scheme that we have here in Europe with the emission trading, we have to be carbon neutral by 2040. And therefore, the companies are working also on these breakthrough technologies. This cannot be seen in the carbon footprint yet because it is future. The main drivers, again, secondary fuels, clinker factor. These are the main ones.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Martin Schneider, on behalf of all of us. And ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, today's dialogue isn't about reducing cement production. It's about revolutionizing how we produce it. And the question that we're dealing with today isn't whether we can decarbonize cement, but how quickly we can deploy the technologies that make it possible. Our next speaker, Mr. Henning Sasse, is going to shed light exactly on this aspect. What has Azerbaijan's experience been with greening their cement production, and what can Pakistan possibly learn from that? With that, I would like to invite Mr. Sasse, who is Chief Executive Officer of Norm Cement in Azerbaijan. Over to you, Henning.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the organizers to give me the opportunity to talk here a little about what we are doing in Azerbaijan. Maybe I can shortly introduce myself. You may guess I'm not an Azerbaijani citizen, but I worked for over 13 years in the Azerbaijani cement industry. I also worked for several years in India, in Russia, Germany. But yeah, now since more than 7 years again, my focus is on Azerbaijan. I'm also here not only as a CEO of Norm Cement, but also as a chairman of the board of the Azerbaijani Cement Producers Association. And I want to talk a little about what we are doing in Azerbaijan. And in Azerbaijan, what we are doing is we have just started, to be honest. For us, the trigger was COP29, which happened last year in Baku. And when this was announced, we said as an industry in Azerbaijan, we have to do something. And what we did, we developed a so-called net zero accelerator with the support of VDZ, based on the GCCA, Global Cement and Concrete Association methodology. And also, as Martin already said, I will not go into detail, as I understand the slides will be shared later on with participants. But here you see the same graph, which was already shown by Martin. And what, of course, is characteristic for our industry in whichever country you are is, and I mentioned this here, we need a mix of measures along the value chain. Of course, you could theoretically completely decarbonize your production via carbon capture and storage or utilization, but this was economically probably not be feasible. So we need this mix of measures. And we have developed this for Azerbaijan. And we have now started the journey. So there's a mix of measures. In addition, it also goes beyond our industry. And this is something new for us in Azerbaijan. Of course, we look at the cement. All of us were 95% focused on cement production in Azerbaijan. But we also have to work now with concrete producers, we have to work with developers, we have to think about construction technology and so on. So these measures go beyond our traditional scope, at least here in Azerbaijan, what cement manufacturers are doing. What is also, of course, our assumption that ultimately to reach net zero, and our target is to do this until 2050, at least based on what is available today, we need carbon capture. And this we have to take into account as an industry in Azerbaijan. We have some unique advantages in Azerbaijan related to this. Nevertheless, the capital requirements still would be huge to do this. And this is also maybe a very basic problem for countries like Azerbaijan, maybe also like Pakistan, because as of today, it looks a little unimaginable how this can be achieved one day. While, of course, on the other side, in the European Union, in Germany, there's a clear political frame set which drives, as of today already, carbon capture and storage. So, nevertheless, what we can do and what have we done so far? And here you see a little our story. We have said, and this was a starting point, I would say 1.5 years ago, we have to do something as an industry in Azerbaijan. At that time, we didn't even have an association in Azerbaijan. So what we did, first of all, we formed our Cement Producers Association. So this COP29 thing, and this was, by the way, also very much supported by the government in Azerbaijan to form this association. And then we said we have to develop this roadmap. And from the beginning, you see here, it was very important for us to not only involve, let's say, ourselves, the cement makers, integrated cement makers with clinker production in Azerbaijan, but also the concrete industry, construction industry, and so on. And then we did workshops with stakeholders here in the country. We looked at the clinker factor, efficiency gains in our production process, but also related to concrete and design and construction. Legislation is an important point, of course. As of today, still, we do not have in Azerbaijan a real, let's say, specific legislation related to carbon emissions, carbon management. And the government is working on this. On the other side, what is developing in Azerbaijan is green energy supply. There, a lot was done in Azerbaijan. In the end, I talk about green electricity. I will come to this. And also carbon capture. Interestingly, initiatives were started in Azerbaijan because Azerbaijan, we are an oil and gas country. Lots of knowledge is available in Azerbaijan, and also opportunities are available. But yeah, something was started. It's at the moment on hold. Let's see. So, and then we presented this roadmap at COP29 in Baku. And at the moment, as an association, but also single members, you will see in the end, we are a small industry in Azerbaijan. We are focusing on the clinker factor. We are focusing on legislation, also related to alternative fuels co-processing, because at the moment, this is happening only to a very limited extent. We started some work on carbon capture in collaboration with the state oil company of Azerbaijan. And what we are also working on is implementing advanced cement and concrete standards and also low carbon labels. You see here, of course, compared to Pakistan, we are small. We have to acknowledge this. In the end, in Azerbaijan, there are 4 integrated cement producers with clinker production. So on the other side, this also has advantages. Because, alignment is easier, let's say, and also, for example, when we talk to government officials and so on, at least this has shown the last 1.5 years experience, we are aligned. We are aligned. There's us, we are not Norm Cement, we are an independent producer. There's Holcim Azerbaijan, part of a global group. Regis Cement, located here in Nakhchivan, which is an exclave of Azerbaijan, is owned locally, and Arcos Cement is part of a small Turkish group of cement, in building materials and cement. And so far, we are quite aligned, and this, of course, also gives us the opportunity to work efficiency as an association. Here, I don't want to go into detail, but also here, of course, we are different. We are different than Pakistan, but we are also different than Germany. As of today, the back market plays a big role, but always on the other side, a small role compared to Pakistan. So as of today, about 50% of our production goes into ready-mix concrete. The share of back cement is going down in the country, slowly but surely. In particular, ready-mix concrete is used in infrastructure development and so on. So as SCM, supplementary cementitious material in the country, we don't have slag available, we don't have fly ash available because there are no coal-fired power plants in the country. So we rely, as of today, on a natural pozzolanic material, which is available in Azerbaijan in large quantities, and on limestone. Clinker factor last year was 81%, still a very high level, but we are reducing it as of today. Then also, of course, to do such an analysis, we also had to take into account until 2050, what do we expect in the country on cement production. We are relatively low per capita as of today in cement consumption in Azerbaijan. We expect an increase until 2050 that we would then have 500 kilogram per capita of cement consumption. Business as usual would mean that we would need 5.6 million tons of cement in 2050. So what are then the levers that we want to apply and we are working on? And one thing, what of course I already mentioned is, and I put this here on the top of the presentation because, to be honest, at the moment we are really here at a starting point with this, because this is for us as a country in Azerbaijan is a very unusual approach. And this is design and construction. So the relevant players in Azerbaijan, like the government on one side, but also architects, project developers, and so on, they were surprised that we contacted them on this topic. But we are doing this now. We have working groups working. We have no concrete results yet. So this collaboration has started. But it's very important that we continue this, despite the fact that, how to say, it's unusual and at least for Azerbaijan, it's a completely new approach. So what Martin just mentioned, this meeting that he has tomorrow in Germany, something like this was completely new in Azerbaijan, but we have to continue it to be successful. And also that everyone along the value chain gets an understanding what we are doing here. Then you see here on the concrete side, and I now on the next slide, I just want to mention a few things, what is happening in Azerbaijan. There's an issue, it's very country specific. Our aggregates are not used properly, also sand in particular, but also aggregates quality in general is poor. That's why we want to work on this. And we work now on this as the integrated cement producers, because we entered, at least 3 of us, and this is also something new, we entered ready-mix production. We did this, of course, for commercial reasons, but also in parallel, we push and we hope, and this we already observe it, that the rest of the ready-mix production will follow on modern chemical admixtures, and also to introduce low-carbon concretes in the market. Also, with this, we want to further accelerate the shift away from bagged cement to more industrialized, because we think and we are convinced that the more industrialized use of cement will allow to use low-carbon solutions in our sector. Then here you see another topic, and this is now related to the cements itself, and also concrete. And what we have, maybe sometimes I ask myself why this is the case. As of today in Azerbaijan, our cement standard is the old European Union cement standard, let's say it like this. The concrete standard is still the old Soviet Union standard. And we have currently started a process to change this, to implement in Azerbaijan, both for cement but also for concrete, the, let's say, latest European Union standards, which will allow us to apply low carbon solutions. Also then to have this reflected in our standards. And because otherwise these targets and to reach advanced targets on clinker factor reduction will not be possible in the country. Because you see here on the right side, on the bottom, we have these targets to be achieved until 2050. In this respect, and as I said, we are also at the beginning of our journey, whether this will happen or not, but we have started discussions in Azerbaijan, also with our competition authority, to jointly invest into calcined activated clay production, to jointly invest as integrated cement producers. Of course, there you see also maybe because we are a small country, small number of players, something like this may be possible. We will see whether this will become a reality. This is also related to the LC3, of course, which was mentioned already as an option. Okay, here I don't want to go too much into detail, but here you see also the simulation we have done, and this is just also to show to the government, by the way, in the end, we will, even if we have this growth in the market, our efforts we will implement will lead to the fact that not more clinker is needed in the country, but even less clinker is needed in the country, based on our plan to reduce clinker factor and so on, better use of concrete and cement and so on. So this simulation we have also done. Of course, we have to regularly update it. But here you see, of course, what does it mean when an industry in a country decarbonizes? In the future, it will lead, and even if the economy grows and the utilization per capita of cement or concrete increases, you may even need less clinker in the future. Then alternative fuels, it was already mentioned here. This is a little our problem in Azerbaijan. Why? You may find it interesting. Our main fuel in Azerbaijan is natural gas. It's not coal. It's natural gas because it's available in large quantities in Azerbaijan, and probably it will be available for the next 50 years. And that's why the government gives to us, you may say, subsidized natural gas. Also, electricity costs in Azerbaijan are very low. Due to this, the economics of using alternative fuels are at the moment not very good for us. Also, due to this, for example, when we compare to Pakistan, we just do not implement in the country waste heat recovery because electricity prices are so low. We, as Norm, I can say now, together with another player, Holcim, we have installed alternative fuels, storage, dosing facilities. We have done trials. However, as of today, there is no business case for the long-term co-processing of alternative fuels. May it be municipal solid waste or RDF derived from this, or oil sludge, which is available in very large quantities in the country. But as of today, we do not have the economics. And here we have to work with the local government to improve. So then I come here just to give you a short impression about Azerbaijan. And there is, this shows, I think, what also Martin mentioned in his presentation. A lot what is possible, or let's say what is also not possible, is country specific. And in Azerbaijan, we have the second largest oil and gas terminal of the world, located 8 kilometers from our Norm integrated cement plant and from the Holcim integrated cement plant. So and also geologically, as I understand it, I'm not a geologist, Azerbaijan has ideal conditions onshore but also offshore to do carbon capture and storage, to do the storage part. Due to this, the State Oil Company of Azerbaijan has started feasibility studies, also in collaboration with oil companies from Gulf states. What could be done in Azerbaijan? And we had started a working group. However, at the moment, this project is put on hold because as of today, the State Oil Company does not see, let's say, a business case for this. What is now happening there, and it's, by the way, it's a very good question, that this project may be restarted for enhanced oil and gas recovery. Where, of course, some people may say, yeah, but this does not really reduce your CO2 emissions. But on the other side, at least technically, it would allow us to do something. So let's see. We are working on this as well. Another point I just want to mention this here, recarbonation of our product. This is something we mention towards the government. I think we all should not forget about this. Yes, we are emitting cement, but when our product is applied, some recarbonation happens. We assume 20%, and this is what we are currently doing or using towards our government. Then what you see here, this is green electricity. I already said, currently a lot is going on in Azerbaijan. There are international investors also from Gulf states into renewable energy, into green energy. And as of today, we as Norm, but also another player, we may be very close to enter into direct supply of green electricity to our plants. This is already done. This Sangachal terminal, BP, this oil and gas terminal, already is implementing this. They want to make the operation of their oil and gas terminal 100% green. And we already have signed some contracts. I cannot go into detail, but we as Norm Cement, maybe also in the next months, a large part of our electricity may become green. Okay, I think I will maybe come to an end here. I will skip a few slides. So this is here a summary, what you see here in red, what we are doing. And yeah, on alternative fuels, as I said, we still have to work on the legislation. We have to improve the conditions. The polluters pays principle has to be applied in Azerbaijan as of today. We are doing trials. In Norm last year, we had a substitution rate, I think, of 2% or something. But of course, we have to do much more to make this a real lever to reduce our CO2 emissions. The standards are a focus area for us, both the cement and concrete standards, but also related to public procurement, low carbon labels. We have in Azerbaijan, first customers are asking for this in Azerbaijan. We have this. The government has started at least an initiative. They have asked us, do we have this? International lenders like Asian Development Bank, EBRD are asking for this. And also I have to say GIZ Azerbaijan has asked us. Of course, this would be very small projects, but GIZ Azerbaijan is implementing small construction projects in the country, of projects which are connected with construction, and they have also asked us, do you guys have certified low carbon cement? As of today, we don't have it. And by the way, we are working with VDZ as Norm now. Maybe we will get a certification soon for probably 2 of our cements. Construction and demolition wastes, there as of today not much is going on in the country. We may also look at this. Legal framework, there will be, we assume soon in the country. We may also look at this. Legal framework, there will be, we assume soon, a law on the management of greenhouse gases in the country, and we want to be part of this. And CO2 capture and infrastructure, as I said, ideal conditions. We will see whether this becomes reality. Thank you very much for your attention.
Henning, thank you very, very, very much. I'm sure there were very many lessons in there for Pakistan cement industry. And the very realistic roadmap that you shared with us is certainly reason to be optimistic. Where there is urgency, because the cement that built our cities now threatens our climate future. But the cases from Germany as well as Azerbaijan also give us reason to be optimistic, because the solutions to transform this industry from problem to indeed a solution are not decades away. They exist today, they're proven, and they're ready to scale. Thank you very much to Martin Schneider and Henning Sasa. And now I would like to bring the discussion closer to home. We would like to begin with introducing Pakistan's decarbonization roadmap to you. And I have the pleasure of introducing the lead author, Saleha Qureshi, who is going to walk you through this roadmap. And then we have an excellent panel lined up for you. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Saleha, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Sobia. And I think all the panelists, especially I huge thankful to Sayyid Numan Hassan, who has introduced APCMA, All Pakistan Cement Manufacturing Association context, that what they are doing in Pakistan and what are the levers that actually work in the case of Pakistan. Also Mr. Martin and also Mr. Hanning. So we have a great perspective from the Germany and as well as from the Azerbaijan. And last year at Sustainable Development Policy Institute, we launched a program on industrial decarbonization, which initially catered to address the hard-to-abate sectors. And we started the work with the cement industry. And we had, almost consultations with 10 to 15 cement industries with the perspective that how we can decarbonize the cement industry, especially. So after my presentation, we have a panel discussion where we will be joined by Dr. Arif Bashir, who is the DG, Operational DG Cement, Mr. Ahsan Anis, who is the CEO of Power Cement, and also from Mr. Ahmed Naveed, who is the Deputy Director Power at National Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority. But before that, I wanted to share some of the scoping study initiative that we have done. My screen is visible, Ms. Sobia?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so as it is a regional dialogue, and we are here to explore what are the inclusive approaches that Pakistan can adopt in the case of decarbonizing the cement industry. So what are the key takeaways that we have taken from the scoping study we have done in Pakistan? So that there is a niche in Pakistan that our current NDCs, when we're talking about the nationally determined contributions, they lack the decarbonization plan. So that was the right need that we need to address that and that a key gap that how we can decarbonize, especially the cement industry. And also there is a limited qualitative and quantitative data on the how to we can decarbonize the cement industry, and there is limited directions for the decarbonization. Also, there is a increasing pressure on the industries that for the greening of the supply chains, and there are a lot of several untapped opportunities for the private sector to decarbonize. So these were the need assessment that was figured out for the decarbonization of cement industry. What we explored in that what is the status quo of the cement sector in Pakistan, the growth and the decarbonization efforts, benchmarking mitigation strategies, also modeling exercise we have done, that we have developed different scenarios that according to each scenario, specifically business as usual, NDC scenario, net zero scenario, what would be the cement industry would be doing and what would be the challenges and opportunities in that case as well. And also finally, what we get from the stakeholders that they have challenges and how they can be addressed in a more inclusive way through the government and through the stakeholder approach. If we look at the Pakistan figures, so Pakistan cement industry contributes 44 to 52% of total industrial sector emissions. And while we're talking about the cement, so it is using 65% to 70% of coal. So very limited discourse is currently exist for the cement, especially hard to abate sectors. So as we see in the global share, there is a 7% CO2 emissions and 25% in industrial emissions. So this is the picture that we can see from the Pakistan side. If we look into the cement manufacturing process, we can see that it is a long process starting from the quarry, crusher, transport, raw mill, then kiln, cooler, cement mill, logistics. So this is the value chain that we knew, we got from the McKinsey report, but we need a value chain that actually exists in Pakistan, that what sort of processes they do have. But when we look into the value chain of the cement industry of Pakistan, we see that the major emission energy consuming portion is kiln and preheater. So their calcination process consumes almost 479 kilogram of ton of CO2. So this is the area that where we need the targeted approach, that how we can decarbonize this sector. So if you look at the key statistics for the Pakistan cement industry, we can see that the annual production capacity for the cement sector in Pakistan is 70 million, which is expected 5 to 7% growth. in metric tons. Contribution to economic growth is 10%, and key export destinations are Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Qatar. So cement sector does not have some external pressure, like as we are talking about the textile sector, especially that they have the consumer preferences that they need a green textile, greening of textile and such green textiles. But for the cement sector, there is a need for the awareness and continuous push for the from the consumer side that they need a green cement or low carbon cement as well. Also being a hard to abate sector, there's a limited solution exists, especially if you're talking about the coal. As I already mentioned, that cement industry is consuming 70 to 80% of coal in their processes. But there are, in some good thing happening that they have using renewables into their system value chains. So there are a lot of, opportunities, and there are a lot of tap-in things that have been done in the past couple of years. If we next meeting. Maybe slide text me. So when we compare the Pakistan current status with the global average, we can see that on the thermal energy consumption, Pakistan is standing at 3.9 gigajoules a ton of clinker, and while the global average is 3.45. On the electricity energy consumption, it's 90 kilowatt per hour, and on the global average, it is 100 kilowatt hour. Clinker, similar with the clinker, it's 0.95, while on the global average, it's 0.72. Emission intensity is 0.79, but on the global average, it's 0.6. So there's a low emission efficiency, but limited space for improvement, limited electrification in the process, and a higher proportion for clinker for the most carbon intensive sectors. Next. There are the potential levers for the decarbonization in Pakistan are energy efficiency, alternative fuels, clinker substitution, renewable energy, process electrification, carbon capture and storage technologies, and circularity in the cement. If we, there are general estimates what we figured out from the stakeholder consultations that if we apply different levers or different decarbonization levers, that what would be impact on the Pakistan industries if they are hard, medium, or easy to use, especially for the energy efficiency. If we apply it, it's the cost is low, but it's easy to apply. If we talk about the alternative fuels, it's hard to apply, and the cost of application is medium to high. While the clinker substitution is the cost is low, but its medium application is medium. On the new type of cement, it's hard to apply and its cost is also high. And while talking about the carbon capture and storage, it's hard to apply and cost of application is very high. So it's the stakeholder consultation we did, and we got these stats from them. So some of the efforts that has been done on replacing coal with TDF and RDF. Also, waste to heat recovery systems are the successful case studies that have been, seen in the case of Pakistan. And also that I have mentioned that there are a lot of, solar initiatives, and also there's so many renewables initiatives that have been added into the value chains of the cement industry. If we talk about the modeling exercise that we have done in the study, we use use the LEAP approach, and we low emission analysis pathway under which we have developed different scenarios: business as usual scenario, frozen scenario, and energy policy scenario, NDC scenario, and net zero scenario. So if we see that on the energy efficiency, there is historical energy intensity improvement, 7% improvement by 2030 and 19% by 2050. Similar with the fuel switching, it's 10% alternative fuels by 2030, and no clinker substitution and no utilization of CCUS till 2050. So this is the whole overall picture, but we can move forward that what individually each lever has impact on the decarbonization. Firstly, starting with the business as usual scenario, we can see the total energy demand by 2050 in cement sector under net zero scenario should be met by almost 30% utilization of biomass and 15% by electricity based power and higher dependence on natural gas. So the consumption of coal under the net zero would drop 85% in 2022 to around 25% in 2050. While in the under BAU, demand from the cement sector is expected to increase from 7.6 million tons of oil in 2023 to 9.5 million tons of oil by 2030. So the net zero scenario indicates that the lowest energy demand profile, depicting that annual energy demand of 9.4 million tons oil by 2030 and 16.8 by 2050. So this is the a business as usual scenario that we have developed under this study. When we look at the impact of different decarbonization levers, fuel substitution has comparatively a larger potential to drive the decarbonization effort in Pakistan. There is a lot of drive on that, with leading players in Pakistan that are actively working on how to make a supportive framework. Energy efficiency, when we're talking about one of the key lever, energy efficiency, despite it's a significant driver for the industry to decarbonize, but there's a limited currently potential to drive this lever for the industry. So there is a lot of space for the energy efficiency to work on this lever. Also, on the net zero scenario, if we can see that net zero for the cement decarbonization will be possible without the use of CCUS technologies, but the local solutions, especially to drive the pathway, are not existing, and this would require a strong regulatory support and stakeholders push and inclusive approach for that. Challenges in this study, what we figured out during the stakeholder consultations were the lack of regulatory and policy support for the cement industry. Performance-based standards are missing. The diverse activities are there, but limited ownership for the projects and for the initiatives that the industry is doing. Legal cover and trust deficits. If we wanted to ask industry that to develop a database, so they need a legal cover for that, for the emission profiling, and high transition cost and limited business case if we talk about the decarbonization. And also some players have the understanding on that, but there is a lot of limited awareness and reluctance to change. The opportunities that in the case of Pakistan, we can see there are potential for carbon trading, financing channels, technology shift, technology transfer, skill sharing. Circularity is one of the aspects for the cement industry that could be opportunity for the industries to decarbonize, and awareness for low carbon cement, so that the consumer push for that would be taken forward. Challenges, there are some of the technical challenges, that additional costs associated with the waste management and the use of RDF and TDF. So that was the proposal that allocate a tipping fee or incentives such as tax breaks for the TDF, limited our research and development around low carbon solutions, so we can enforce the quality standards for the waste management. Also high cost of technology updates, there should be targeted awareness knowledge sessions to create market pull. On the regulatory front, we can see that there should be a transparent and predictable tariff structures to enable RE shift. Power wheeling reforms should be expedited for the renewables transition. Also, awareness raising and skill sharing around the green cement is the regulatory need for the Pakistan cement industry. Also, bring cement decarbonization in the policy, especially when we're talking about the NDCs and low LT LEDs. On the financial challenges, what we have seen that mobilizing the finance, especially utilizing the opportunity to through green transition funds, climate bonds, or other financing tools is the need that industry could tap in. Industry could take it. Also, industry must embrace the financing approaches that analyze how to mobilize capital across the whole value chain, such as cement, and market-based mechanisms should be introduced, such as auctions, feed-in tariffs, or power purchase agreements. Also, there are a lot of capacity challenges on adopting the circularity. Collective action is needed, especially from the key stakeholders from the whole entire value chain for the circular value chain coordination, and market-based mechanisms should be introduced. So finally, if we can see that the way forward for Pakistan is developing a business case. Without developing a business case, you cannot ask the industry to decarbonize. So there should be there should be a mechanism that where they harness the green financing opportunities. Alternative economic engines should be provided to the private sector, and also the best practices. What are the approaches? Right now we listen from the Germany and from the Azerbaijan that what are the different approaches they have developed, but definitely a business case would be a final would be on the table for the industries, for the cement industries, and collaboration among the stakeholders from the academia, from the social sector, from the private sector, from the public sector is a very significant key that can help to develop a business case. So, yeah, so this is the overall the study we have done under our decarbonization initiative. So now we will start with the panel discussion from the Pakistan side. We have Mr. Ahsan Anis, who is the CEO of Power Cement. And moving on, we will have further experts on the CBAM and on the other aspects as well. So starting with the Ahsan Anis, Ahsan Saab is with us.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I think okay, yeah. So, Ahsan Saab, as you know that we have conducted the study earlier 1 year ago, and we had a lot of engagement with you, especially, and you have portrayed some of the levers that could be in the levers that could be beneficial in the context of Pakistan cement industry. So, what are the technical or regulatory challenges you foresee in decarbonizing the cement industry, and what is the role of the private sector that they can play when we are talking about the business case for the decarbonization? Yes, over to you.
Thank you, Sadia. And will I also be able to share something, because I think it's easier to talk when people are also looking at a slide?
Yeah, sure.
So a lot of slides might be somewhat which you have said repeated as well, because we had been collaborating with you guys over on this front as well. Is my screen visible to the people as well?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So I'll just try and repeat your question, so I answered that part of the conversation as well, which is the technical constraints and what are the impediments to have more decarbonization around this hard to abate sector. So I think the numbers are here, which you showed as well, a little bit plus minus 5%. But my view is that there has always been this this fear that if we start to decarbonize, is there enough fuel available in the country, and why we have not been able to do this despite being a probably in the largest, one of like 13th or 14th largest capacity producers, cement producers in the world as well. So I've just tried to put a few numbers around on this slide as well. So effectively 80 to 85 million tons of capacity in Pakistan for cement, and 70 to 80% of all coal is imported. So it's a huge burden on the import bill as well. And I've just tried to make a moonshot around here that, while the capacity utilization is low, but if 100% of all cement producers try to produce cement through alternative fuels, they would require 10 million tons of coal. And they will probably emit around 24 million tons of CO2 in this case as well. And on the bottom right, I've also shown that cement demand in Pakistan will continue to increase. So this trend will continue to increase as we move forward. But if you and if you see on this slide that it's not just us, but globally everyone has been able to do this. So there is enough test case in the world where people have replaced coal. It's not that we are reinventing the wheel, but yet we as a country, I would not use the word fail, but we as a country have not been able to replace even any substantial amount of coal in our part of the world. And I feel, as a producer myself as well, I feel one of the reason is that we were trying to copy paste the solutions which were available globally. So one of the biggest technical or mental constraint for not switching fuels or not having decarbonized this industry was that we were exactly replicating what the developed world or what the West was trying to tell us. So while this was very, very easy for Europe or easy for anybody else to explain to us that you should use tire drive fuel, which is known TDF, which you were saying as well, or why don't you are a country with 300 million or 250 million people, why aren't you not using your domestic waste into this as a fuel? But they were not understanding the local dynamics of the country. So if you look closely, all the fuels which are very, very common in the West are effectively, I'm not saying impossible, effectively very, very challenging to use in Pakistan. Two things which constantly a lot of players have tried is, one is the issue of domestic waste or issue of waste, which you called RDF or SRF. And in waste in Pakistan, I think there are more qualified people in the panel who would know better than I would. But waste in Pakistan has a number of issues. So be it that there is no source level segregation at the household level. So you don't have 2-colored dustbins or you don't have 3-colored dustbins the same way you have in the West. You have extremely high moisture because the organic waste is mixed together. Then there is a whole cycle of informal theft of the recyclables before it reaches the landfill. So all the plastics, metals are taken away. And then there is no tipping fee, which you suggested as well. So while there is enough, there is a need for government intervention, which you mentioned that there should be a tipping fee, but I think it's just not the tipping fee with the government needs to introduce. It's also that the entire waste value chain, the segregation from the source level is missing. So even if with the tipping fee, it might not still be a very valued proposition to use the waste. So just to incite a little more interest in the conversation. So if you go to a landfill in Karachi, you probably see 7% of the landfill, which is millions and millions of tons, filled with pampers, or a lot of that filled with a lot of sand and stones or organic waste. So those are probably unusable in a cement plant, and therefore it's while we were trying to copy paste again. I'll refer back to my conversation. While we were trying to copy paste a lot of West-based solutions, we were failing tremendously in our part of the world. What I think has happened over the course of few years with all cement players, not just us, is that that has made us to think outside the box and think where Pakistan itself has something which might be more localized. And I think you mentioned in your slides as well on biomass side, but we have just tried to put a few numbers around here again through research. We are in the top 5 crops of Pakistan. We are the sugar, the rice, maize, cotton, and wheat. We are amongst the top producers in the world. So obviously when and there's a lot of waste around in this area as well. Similarly, on the animal waste side as well, we have huge amount of animal waste available, which generally has no end of use life. So while animal waste main purpose could have been used as an organic fertilizer, but because it's main in the urban city, it's virtually impossible for that animal waste to reach the right rural population. So the numbers we have come out is that if all the cement players in Pakistan decide one day that they can shift 100% to biomass, they will eventually need 20 million tons of waste. And just with the top 5 crops, there is 120 million tons of waste available. So my proposition was that the supply side of waste is not a constraint in that part of the world. Um, okay, there could be logistic challenges on where the cement plant is located and where the crop is located, but we as a country are in a unique position where we can leverage this high agricultural residue available in our part of the world. So from a technology perspective, there is enough technology solutions available which can help us use this. Now, the real impediment is not now I've crossed out 2 impediments here, the technology of the cement plant itself and because it's globally there have been many cases of replacement of fuel. The second is availability of fuel itself, which is also there. So now what is causing not for us not to shift? One is the economic consideration always. So again, an insight, something which can trigger some emotions. I think we as a country never shifted to solar when solar was more expensive than the grid. There was a mass shifting in our part of the world when the grid prices increased and the solar became much more economically viable. So one impediment is always that there has to be enough economic reasons for all of us to shift. The second reason is also there's no proper system or supply chain or ecosystem around this area. So effectively, it's virtually impossible to get from a farm to the cement plants because there's no value chain available or no ecosystem available. So I think one is that the government and regulatory support is needed to bring that part of the equation into the system and make them realize as well and us realize as well. So how to connect this both the supply side and the demand side. The second is also the need for these kind of cement. So I think in our part of the world there has been no genuine effort even by the buyers of cement that they want a greener cement or a low carbon emission cement. So one of the ways India or any developing country had started this journey was that the public procurement side of the businesses wanted certified lower carbon cement. So for creation of all public spending, they mandated a certain portion of low carbon cement. So I think these are my few ideas in the first question, and I had put a slide on also. So and then this is the way to trigger all this effect, and I think if triggered well, we won't be far behind these top 4 or 5 lines, in which are in Europe, where the alternative fuels is high, is used very high as well. What do you, Saleh? You're mute, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you, Hassan Saab. And very rightly highlighted that there is a lot of potential for the agriculture, waste into the value chain of the cement industry. So how we can, look into tap into that opportunity of circularity into the So moving forward, I think we have Dr. Arif Bashir from the Director Technical and Operations DG Cement. Sir, as Hassan Saab has mentioned that there is a lot of potential on the agriculture waste into the cement value chain. So how you can see that what are the feasible alternative fuels such as RDF and biomass or waste derived fuels to the current cement infrastructure? Like how do you see what are the technical barriers in adopting for the cement industry? It's over to you.
Thank you very much. First of all, Saleh, and to all participants, and I would like to first share our own experience at DG Cement. We have been using alternative fuel for the last almost 10 years. And very briefly, I would like to share our experience using different kinds of alternative fuels, the achievements so far we've been able, and then what are the challenges that we foresee in the future. Just to begin with, I don't have any presentation, but just to make this session more interactive, my request is that please stop me and ask me as many questions as you want to about Pakistan cement industry, about alternative fuels, and our future approach. We have 4 production lines in Pakistan, and we are total 7.6 million tons production capacity, covering almost all the country. In the center of the country, we have 2 production lines. In the north, 1 production line, and one in the south near Arabian Sea. And the single line near Karachi is making 9,000 tons clinker per day. In our all production lines, we are capable to use alternative fuels. And we have installed the equipment and machinery from backup plan, um, and to use different kinds of alternative fuels, including municipal solid waste, the tire drive fuel, the agriculture waste, the industrial waste. And for the last 10 years, we have achieved a substitution of about 60% to 70% in the consigner. And more importantly, that we are using municipal solid waste, which we have signed a contract with the Lahore Waste Management Company for the supply of about 1,000 tons of waste material to our premises, where we make use of this waste and produce RDF that substitute our coal substitution. Now, what are the challenges? That is the important thing to understand. The first challenge that Ehsan Saab has just mentioned is the high moisture content. I mean, there is no consistency in the supply of waste material to us. Moisture is as high as 60 to 70%. On top of that, it also contains the debris and the construction waste that is coming from building materials. So that it does not make economic sense to use high moisture content MSW to make RDF. Then we are left with agriculture waste, and we are left with the industrial waste. So all sorts of agriculture waste we have tried, like wheat straw, like rice husk, from the industry, textile industry, shoe industry, leather industry, we are using it on consistent basis. Uh, Also, we have reduced the carbon dioxide footprints by using the renewable energy, which at present is in the range between 30 to 35%. You can stop me and ask me any question if you wish to.
Yeah,
We are working
just
brief.
Arsab, if you wanted to, give the industry perspective on the how you see the role of wheeling reforms, especially in enabling the self-generation and cleaner procurement for cement plants. Is there any thing that is going to happen, or do you have any concerns on that? Yeah.
Uh, for the purchase of waste material, you mean? Sorry,
Yeah,
your question is not clear to me.
like what are the wheeling reforms you can see that could be improved in the context of the industrial operations at the cement industry?
Well, the wheeling is that, of course, if you can go for the alternative fuel, if you can go for the renewable energy, and we make use of this electricity, and then that can be supplied to other industry or to the national grid, that can be one of the opportunities. Like Lucky Cement has done the wind energy prospects, and Power Cement is also doing the same. If we have the potential to produce a lot of electricity through the renewable, and that can be supplied to the national grid, and in return we can get the electricity elsewhere in our industry. That is one of the opportunities. Also, we are working on carbon dioxide reduction through the renewable and carbon dioxide capturing. And that is one key area where we are extensively working to capture carbon dioxide and then to reuse this carbon dioxide in the concrete, ready mix concrete. And these are the area. And the third area where we are working at present is the development of LC3 cement. By substituting this, we envisage that in the coming years, we'll be able to reduce the carbon dioxide footprints from our cement manufacturing processes between 40 to 50%.
Yeah. So is there any, specific technologies that at your plant you're prioritizing to reduce both thermal or process emissions from your plants? Is there anything on that?
Oh, well, already, since I have mentioned that most of the cement plants are using waste heat recovery, power generation, and we are also using the same and making use of about 10 to 12 megawatt of electricity coming from the waste heat recovery. Yeah.
We'll come back to you later. And now moving forward, we have Ahmed Naveed, who is the Deputy Director of Power and Energy at National Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority. Ahmed Naveed, sir, could you highlight NECA's ongoing initiatives, especially when we are talking about promoting energy efficiency and decarbonization in the cement industry, such as the rollout of waste heat recovery systems and fuel switching pilot programs. Yes, any specific initiatives that you wanted to highlight on the NECA side? Yeah, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olia. And it's been an honor to be invited on a very, specific kind of discussion that we are having. And very warm welcome to, all the panels, very expert guys that all the knowledge that has been shared. Now, regarding the NECA's perspective, and especially, countering the challenges that are being faced by the cement industry in Pakistan, NECA has already initiated and spearheaded the campaign where, electric motors below IE2 efficiencies are being employed. And NECA is actually promoting this kind of culture where motors having the efficiency higher than IE2 are being implemented over there. And what in turns it is going to do that it is going to turn down or scale down the load that the cement industry is actually having of the national grid. So when the load is actually to be catered, so we can do something more in terms of energy efficiency and conservation perspective also. Later on, NECA has already initiated retrofitting and replacement of boilers and furnaces by 2026, and it is already implemented in the different parts of cement sector also. And we are encouraging the cement manufacturing companies to either to retrofit or replace their old manufactured boilers so that the more energy efficient equipment could be installed, and you can get the maximum out of that. And the third initiative that NECA has already taken is that there are going to be energy audits at different industrial manufacturing units, and along with those audits, there has to have a 5-year energy saving plan so that we can get the broader picture of what those cement manufacturing units are actually having in terms of energy savings. And moreover, deployment of specified energy managers and the EMC management industrial system is the kind of initiative that we have taken already. And pertaining to the question that lowering clinker ratio, it is in the pipeline also. NECA is actually collaborating with the PSQCA and other bodies to revise the cement standards and allow wider usage of the blended cement. You can have the example like the addition of the fly ash and slag also. And just like I mentioned earlier, that energy managers and EMC management system is going to be one of the key things that is going to be introduced at industry level also. And the NECA is also working with the environmental agencies to develop core processes and regulations for RFT, biomass, and industrial waste also. All the challenges that have been mentioned by the CEO of Power Cement and the other panelists also. Yes, there is going to be a lot of discussions whether the high moisture content of the waste. What are we going to do about that also? And basically, now that you have just recently mentioned the power wheeling concept in cement industry, there is a lot more discussion that is going on with NEPRA and the discos also, so that we can improve the power wheeling framework for the WHRP capacity that you are having and all the pre-installed solar power plants, that we can get the power supply from cement manufacturing units, and later on they can utilize that sort of a power wherever they want. So these are the initiatives that Nika has already taken. And pertain, besides, apart from this whole thing, I think there are a few companies in Pakistan, specifically in the cement sector, who has, done the ISO certification of 14064. Basically, that certification actually, gives out the overview, the picture, to quantify and to keep the record of the greenhouse gas emissions. So these are sort of certifications, they should be initiated at the industry level also, so that we can have the broader picture of what the GHG gases are actually being emitted from those manufacturing units. And one of the things that, not that we are having a good kind of a discussion, uh, I have sensed, there has to be some sort of a platform or some, mechanism where the collaboration with the, Nika, by keeping, ourselves in the mandate of energy efficiency and conservation things with the industry key players also, so that we can have the collaboration. There has to have a mechanism. Yes. So that.
Thank you, Ahmed Saab. Thank you for your insightful comments and suggestions, especially the role what Nika is doing around the industrial decarbonization. Now, I think Henning has also raised hand, but we will come back to you later. Our last speaker is, waiting, and we have short of time as well. And also, we believe that Sayyid Noman Hassan and Dr. Arif and Ahsan Saab, if they wanted to highlight anything further from the industry perspective, they can do after that. But our final last speaker, Dr. Shabazz, who is the thematic expert at the Ministry of Commerce. Sir, keeping, when we're talking about the global trends and global financing instruments, and especially instruments like carbon border adjustment mechanisms. So you had listened all the discussion around what the decarbonization opportunities the cement industry would have, and how do you see that in the context of Pakistan? What are the opportunities and challenges that could be, addressed, and that could be looked into in the context of CBAM, upcoming CBAM? Yeah, over to you.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Shahbaz Ali Khan. I'm thematic expert at National Compliance Center, and I have listened all the presenters very carefully, and they have highlighted very important information, or you can say significant information about cement industries and opportunities, or you can say hurdles faced by the cement industries. Most of the things you already have discussed. Well, I am going to identify a few important points here. If we talk about introducing new technologies, modern technologies in cement industry, or if we identify, or if we want to adopt resource efficient and cleaner production technologies in cement industries, we have we are lacking of technical expertise in Pakistan regarding those RECP technologies or modern technologies. And unfortunately, there is limited vendor or technical companies available in Pakistan which can support cement industry to uh, boost its business and carbon footprint. And if I talk about carbon border mechanism, adjustment mechanism, as we are working in National Compliance Center, and one of our core objective is to give training and awareness about EU regulations to the SMEs of industries in Pakistan, those who want to export their manufactured products. So we are currently preparing training materials for carbon border adjustment mechanism, and we are going to conduct training and awareness sessions in export industries like Sialkot, so industries like leather, textile, and other industries. So this is a great initiative of Government
Sure.
of
Sure. Thank
Pakistan
you.
under Ministry of Commerce. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shabazz, and very rightly said what Ministry of Commerce is doing. I think we can take Haining Sase question, and I believe we have Sayyid Noman Hassan and other cement industry experts, and they can respond on that as well. And we do have a chat box in which a lot of questions around the decarbonization of cement are there. So if anything particular you wanted to address, yeah, over to you, Haining.
Yeah, just a short question. I heard in the beginning we have this very high clinker factor in Pakistan. What is the reason for this, that this is still so high? And LC3 was mentioned by Dr. Bashir. What potential do you see for reduction on one side, but maybe what specific obstacles exist in Pakistan to reduce the clinker factor?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Henning. My comment is that in Pakistan, yes, there is a growing realization that we should reduce the clinker factor by using LC3 cement. And what we have so far been able to do, that we have identified the right kind of clay all over the country, which we can then produce calcined clay to substitute clinker factor. And on lab scale, we have been able to successfully substitute about 30% of clinker by using the calcined clay, calcined clay. Now, how to move forward? My suggestion is that since Naman Sahib is sitting and Ehsan Sahib is also sitting here, my suggestion is that it should be done on national level. The biggest constraint is that how to make the standard of producing this LC3 cement and bringing down the clinker factor to 70%. And a market acceptability. If anybody does that alone, then it won't be accepted in the market. It should be done on the national level with a particular goal set in mind, that we have to reduce the clinker factor, and hence we have to reduce the fossil fuel. So I leave it to Ehsan Sahib and Noman Sahib to please comment on it.
Yeah, over to you, Ehsan Sahib, please. Noman Sahib, please.
Actually, I think I'll answer it in a bit of a comprehensive way. The last slide on your presentation, Saleha, said that what is required is a business case for people to make the changes. I think, and again, I don't know what was the motivation in Azerbaijan when they started this journey 1.5 years ago. But obviously there were only 4 players over there and 2.5 million tons, and it was probably easier to comprehend. I think in our case, when we are talking about 16 players, 22 plants, people all over the place, fragmented, what would work to actually drive all these things, whether we talk about clinker ratio, whether we talk about what kind of cement to sell in the market, whether we talk about alternate fuels. Right now, all these initiatives are being taken by individual companies based on their understanding, their intellect, their motivation, and of course, their cost scenarios. I think what we need is more of this regulatory framework which would help drive the cement industry in a certain direction. Because in the absence of that, this is not going to happen. Like was pointed out earlier in a presentation, the consolidated buying by public funds was done through people who had actually improved their clinker ratio. Those kind of initiatives can only happen at a macro level. And, we probably need a bit more from the government side to direct us in that direction. Now, I know that there are initiatives being taken here and there, government, semi-government institutions like the Management Association of Pakistan, which rewards the reporting of sustainability. Recently, SCCP has come up with some regulation on the S1, S2 environmental regulations. Right now, they've made it just important to report, but from next year, I think they've made it mandatory in terms of reporting. We probably, given the size and scope of the cement industry in Pakistan, doing it as an industry by ourselves or even at an APCMA platform would help. I'm not taking away from that, but I think a regulatory environment which we all have to comply with, which is something which is like we saw in the Azerbaijan presentation. There were directions that 2030 they'll do this, 2050 they'll do that. Something like that would probably drive things more in Pakistan than actually, leaving it to the industry to come up with what they think is the best practice and what they want to move into this direction. I said in the earlier when I started that we are good corporate citizens. We comply by the law. We do the right things which are required for us to do. But on this step, maybe something which is driven down on the industry with an easy and a discussed approach will probably work towards all these things. Right now, I'll tell you something interesting. We are talking about, clinker to cement substitution. In countries where we export clinker and where clinker is a dear commodity which they are importing from other countries, their clinker to cement ratio is almost to 50 to 60% now, much more than what we've seen in the presentation today. Whereas in Pakistan, we are actually, because of competition and because of the fact that we have 86 million tons installed capacity and we're only selling 35 million tons of that, the market competition is so intense that actually we are moving in the other direction. We are actually reducing our clinker to cement ratio by coming up with a more stronger cement, perceived stronger cement, which to make a customer or a consumer proposition. So I think there's a lot that can be done, provided we have a good regulatory framework to drive the cement industry into a certain direction.
Yeah, thank you so much, Numan Saab, and I think that was a wonderful panel discussion. And now I hand over to Ms. Sobia Becker for the closing remarks. Yeah, I'm over to you.
Thank you so much. And also, Noman, thank you very much. That was a very valuable input you just delivered. I think that developing a roadmap as part of an inclusive process by the All Pakistan Cement Manufacturers Association is going to be a much more effective way of moving forward than to have one imposed by you. And we've seen from Germany's example as well as from Azerbaijan's example that this is possible. And we would be happy to also support the APCMA in developing this sort of a roadmap. I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to all of the participants in this very productive dialogue that we had today. Today's discussion has shown that cement decarbonization is not just a climate and environmental necessity, but is also an economic opportunity for the region. I noted two key findings from today, from the outputs of our discussions. First, the scale of the challenge is clear. Cement accounts for about 8% of global carbon dioxide emissions, and in Pakistan alone, the cement sector consumes 8.5 million tons of coal annually and represents 70% of the industry's energy use, and therefore accounts for up to 52% of Pakistan's total industrial emissions. Secondly, we see that solutions exist and that these solutions are proven. We've discussed these technologies today, and there has been a range. Alternative fuels, energy efficiency improvements, L3C, they are there and they are not experimental. They are working in real projects, as we've seen from the different examples that we've discussed today. Now, there are some immediate action areas, and based on what we've discussed today, I see 4 clear priorities emerging. Number one is obviously technology transfer. We know that if we accelerate the deployment of L3C technology, we can reduce emissions by up to 40% when compared to ordinary Portland cement. And countries like India and Ghana are already scaling this technology. Pakistan does have the clay resources as well as the limestone to do the same. There have been questions about alternative fuels. The colleague from Power Cement made a very convincing case, and having been working in the area of renewable energy for the last over 15 years, I know that not sorting at waste, the very high moisture content of RDF makes it very difficult, but nevertheless, um, there are opportunities there, and maybe biomass gas presents significantly more opportunities. Circularity is also important to address both the waste management as well as the energy challenge. And as Noman was pointing out, policy harmonization and regulatory frameworks are going to be key. Carbon pricing mechanisms, as well as building codes that encourage low carbon cement, can create market for cleaner technologies both at home and abroad. And when these policies align, it makes it easier for companies to also invest in new technologies and also find it easier to access finance. I also must add here that raising awareness, also raising market awareness and creating demand is going to be key. And this lies within the public domain, as speakers before me have pointed out, and as Martin also said, with procurement rules, etc. And this is something; these are again strategic levers that can be used successfully. I've already spoken about financing mechanisms. Blended finance, international climate funds can help bridge the investment gap. And the newly introduced green taxonomy that the State Bank of Pakistan is putting forward is going to be a key step in this direction, allowing cement companies to access much needed finance for technology upgrades and retrofits. But we need financial instruments that work for economies like Pakistan. The business case is strong. We've looked at the economic benefits, and we've also discussed environmental compliance in detail. And there is a great deal of investment attraction as well. So the path to net zero cement is technically feasible. SDPI scoping study shows Pakistan's cement sector could reduce emissions by more than three times by 2050. But this requires three things. First, strong policy frameworks that create incentives for clean technology adoption. Second, cooperation. This type of regional cooperation that the Pak-German Climate and Energy Partnership has organized this dialogue, which allows countries to share knowledge, experiences, and eventually coming to sharing costs, risks, as well as the benefits of technology transfer. And then finally, industry commitment to move beyond business as usual. And we've seen Lucky Cement, we've seen DG Khan Cement, we've seen Power Cement, good representation from the APCMA signals this commitment to move forward and to move beyond business as usual approaches. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been a fantastic audience. Thank you very much. My heartfelt thanks to our wonderful speakers today. Please reach out to us and we'll be very happy to share all of the materials that have been presented today. And for those colleagues who are still there, could I please ask everyone to turn on their camera and smile widely so that we can take a picture for posterity? Oh, Dr. Bashir, that's a lovely smile you have.
And you can see a lot of greenery in Lahore. It's beautiful weather here.
That's true. Another reason to smile. So if Obed or Salia would kindly take a picture with everyone, that would be wonderful. Thank you. And with that, thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All the best. Bye bye.